All right, so we're here at Lakers Media Day, brought to you by Bibigo. And Ireland, I know that you're doing some work with Bibigo, and I don't know how that slipped through my fingers, how the Bibigo endorsement landed
He's very
on your
bitter.
plate.
He's very upset
Well,
about that.
I think you were a little unlucky in that the reason it landed on my plate is because of their relationship with the Lakers. But I will tell you this, Trav. We did a Bibigo event, a mural reveal in Koreatown maybe 2 months ago. Michael and I did it. And the Bibigo truck was there. The Bibigo truck just pulled up here. And you're a bigger eater than me. I went 7 times to the Bibigo truck. Bergman went with me every time. Michael, who doesn't eat during shows, ate during that show, excuse me. So it's really, really good.
No, I
made an exception.
Seven trips is impressive. That's pro level activities.
In my defense, they're little sampler plates.
That's
so
okay.
Still, it's like the guy who goes to happy hour and goes to the trough 7 times. That was me.
This is old school. Was there an elephant bar anywhere near?
Oh, of course, and near in San Diego, where my wife's from too.
So they had an elephant bar in Santa Barbara that on Monday
of course
Night
they
Footballs
did.
Had 25-cent hot dogs. Guess who was a regular at the elephant bar on Monday night?
I was even worse than you. I used to live next to the old Jack Murphy Stadium when I was a reporter in San Diego, and I was making no money. So I would go to every Padre game just so I could eat the media food. And you know how good media food is. So I know your act.
For sure. All right, so obviously we're here to kick off the season. It's Media Day. Just the vibe in the air this year is so different than it was a year ago. It's palpable how much more positive it is this time around.
Well, we're not going to start 2-10.
Right.
I'll tell you that. Although I was telling Slee that the first 2 games are really hard. They could go either way. It's at Denver and then Phoenix here. So those are going to be 2 really hard games. But I think the reason for this optimism that you're talking about is last year after the trade deadline, the Lakers had the second best record in the NBA, 18-8. The only team that was better, 19-7, was Milwaukee, and then Giannis got hurt, and they went out in the first round. The Lakers, of course, made it all the way to the Final Four. So I think there's a lot of curiosity here. Okay, that group now with a training camp and with these new additions, and I like the additions they made, the guys like Jackson Hayes and Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish and Christian
Taurean
Wood
Prince.
late, Taurean Prince. I think, guys, this Laker team, for the first time since in 08, 09, and 10, the Lakers went to the finals 3 years in a row. They won in 09 and again in 10. That team was 10 deep. So you started Kobe and Fish and Bynum and Gasol and Metta World Peace, but off the bench came Shannon Brown and Lamar Odom and Sasha Vujicic and Luke Walton and all these guys who could play. That's what they have now. They have a roster that if Darvin Ham wants to, he can go 10 deep. And that's a nice luxury to have when your team is older.
John, I'll never forget, after Game 1 last year, Lakers beat the Warriors in Golden State, and you asked Michael, you say, Michael, what kind of changes do you expect for the Golden State Warriors? And he said, well, unless they can get taller and bigger by the time the next game comes, they got 7 guys 6'8" or above. It was almost, there was a time where the Lakers had too many guards, not enough wings, and now they're just filled that roster with wing players. How much do you think that kind of comes into what you're talking about? Just the ability to, the depth, the ability to switch, the ability to, just that depth, I think, is, or that how long
size,
and tall these guys are is such a key factor.
Well, it's, the big move yesterday was Drew Holiday getting traded to Boston. And one of the guys that went out in that trade was Robert Williams, who was one of their centers that played. Now, basically, they have Kristaps Porzingis and a bunch of backups. And if Porzingis gets hurt, they're really small. I love the Holiday move. I think Boston's going to be really good. The Lakers can go big. They can go small. They can go a bunch of 6'8" guys and switch everything. I think that's the point of your question. So now, whichever way you want to play, if you want to try and outsize them, they can go big.
They can match
If you want to go small, Lakers could play LeBron at the 5 and go small that way. So now he's got a lot more tools in his tool belt, and I think there is no scenario under which a team could throw something at them that they weren't equipped to handle.
I know that this is something that's on Adam Silver's mind. I know that it's something that, is, I don't know if it's on my mind, but something that the NBA regular season has become like the preamble to the playoffs. It's like, let's just get to the playoffs. But seeing everything that we've gotten, Phoenix has new faces. You've got Boston, who you just mentioned, has new faces. Milwaukee, obviously.
Golden State gets Chris Paul.
With Chris Paul. Does that kind of juice the regular season at least to a point, do you think? Because so often it's like, just get in, just be one of the top 8, just get into the playoffs. And the Lakers did it from the play-in last year, got all the way to the conference finals. Is that still going to be the conventional wisdom for these teams?
I'm more interested in the regular season than I've been in a long time. And the one
too.
team you didn't even mention there was Phoenix, and they've been totally rebuilt.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing in Bradley Beal. They're just going to try and outscore everybody. And Frank Vogel, I don't know if most Laker fans know this, when Frank Vogel won the title with the Lakers in 2020, six, Trav, of his assistants who were on his Lakers staff are now with him in Phoenix.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
He basically put the band back together in Phoenix. Guys like Miles Simon and David Fizdale and John Pastorik and Greg St. Jean, and they're all down in Phoenix with Vogel. And they have a loaded roster, too. So if you ask me to handicap the West, I would say Denver's the one because they're the defending champs. But then it is wide open. Phoenix, Clippers, Lakers. I mean, Golden State, you guys mentioned.
Chris Paul going to work there? That just feels
know.
like such a weird fit to me. It just seems like such that what Chris Paul brings did not feel like something that Golden State needs.
Well, we're going to find out. Steve Kerr's really smart, but that's an old team, and they
got smaller.
And as you point out, Slee, they don't have any size. And so I don't know. I don't have the Warriors in my top 4. If you put a gun to my head and say pick the top 4, I would probably go Denver, Lakers, Phoenix, Clippers. And last year, Memphis was the 2, Sacramento was the 3.
Right.
So those teams are coming back bigger and stronger. So the West is pretty loaded. And I think getting back to your original question, because of that, because it's so loaded, I think Oklahoma City can make the playoffs.
Sure.
I think the regular season is going to mean more.
You've seen, obviously, not just the games that LeBron's played with the Lakers, but for all the time that he's been around the league, 21st season coming in. Is it, I don't know, do you and Michael just sit there sometimes and just say, what are we watching here? How is he still playing at this level? And that was doing it in his 20th season, now in his 21st.
Well, to your point, no one has ever done it at this level. Pick a player. Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, the greatest, Bill Russell, the greatest players. No one has ever put numbers like this up at that age or that deep into the league, 21st season. So every night we're watching him, we're watching something that hasn't happened before. And so you try not to take it for granted, but when he's gone, people are definitely going to miss him because, people all say, well, they're used to having stars on the Lakers, but we've never had a star, even Kareem, who was great when he was older, wasn't putting up numbers like LeBron's putting up. So we're watching history kind of unveil before our eyes, and I try not to take that for granted.
I want to get this one in there before you go. I got a Bibigo question as well.
Okay.
But yesterday I was feeling great about the Rams, and then I was feeling terrible about the Rams, and then I was elated about the Rams. Are they just somewhere in between? Because I was this close to be. They're the team I thought they were. They need to go get Caleb Williams. They need to go just blow this thing up and start over again, and then they won the game anyway.
Here's what I'd be worried about if I was a Rams fan.
Ugh.
Matthew Stafford looked really hobbled at the end of that game. He's got a hip thing going on. He was great. Puka Nacua was great. They did what it takes to get over Indianapolis, but not every week. Like this week, they got to play Philadelphia. If Matthew Stafford can't go, Trav, I think they're dead. I just think they didn't invest 100%. In a backup quarterback.
100%.
He covers up a lot of their deficiencies. So that's, if I'm a Rams fan, what I'm keeping an eye on. How is that hip? But if Stafford is the Stafford he was in the overtime yesterday, I can see him going 9-8. Can't you?
I absolutely can. It's games like that. It's games like Cincinnati. You got to get on the right side of a couple of those along the way. Because to your point, John, maybe with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if anybody's asking more of their quarterback than the Rams are asking of Matthew Stafford.
And the Rams' defense until the fourth quarter yesterday was really good. So, I think defensively they're better than I thought they'd be. They still have Sean McVay. For now, they still have Matthew Stafford. I think if those things stay healthy, Stafford, the defense, they've got a chance to go 9-8.
So,
and I think that gets them in, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
I think
in the
8
NFC.
and 9 might get you in the NFC.
Yeah.
It's a weird year in that conference. When I run out of samples of Bibigo, do I call you or do I go somewhere else?
Well, today you just go to the truck.
After today.
After today, I might be able to hook you up a little
John's
bit.
your guy.
Or
But
the
as I
freezer
said,
aisle
my
in any
plug for
grocery store.
Bibigo.
Yes, as Emily just said, what I would remind you, Trav, is that Bibigo is available in the frozen food aisle of any major supermarket. And the great thing about these things is you can, and I'm a little guilty of this, you can leave them in your freezer for a couple of months, and you're looking in there, you pop them out and put them in, and they taste fantastic. Most things don't keep like that. For whatever reason, these things do.
Nothing lasts for 2 months in my freezer, John. You should
But if I send you a whole bunch of Bibigo and you just dumped it in there, you might find one
restaurant.
You might find one under an ice cube tray one day, Trav.
Absolutely.
He'll have it done in a month and a half.
Do you have to work here today?
Yeah, a little bit, and then I'm heading back to do the show with Mason in the studio. So I'll talk to you guys during Crosstalk.
All right,
have fun today.
Crosstalk.
All right, see ya.